Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 21 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration. In the previous episode we went a little bit, we have left Kerbal shackles and just dipped into the interplanetary space. So today we will be again starting the episode with the Kerbal Space Telescope, which will try to uncover secrets of more of the Kerbal neighboring planets, or the more planets that are in the Kerbal's system. And we are showing off Eve, also Kerbal's neighbor, same as Duna, except that it is one orbit lower than Kerbal when compared to the Sun. Apart from Eve, we will be visiting, or we will be trying to catch with our space telescope a few more planets, and as we do, we will add them in our alarm clock list for the interplanetary transfers. So, without further ado, let us point our Kerbal Space Telescope towards the next target. And the next target is... I think it is Dres. This is post-commentary, so don't judge me if I miss it. But, yeah. Let's see. Open the aperture. I always keep the aperture closed while moving the space telescope for security reasons, that we don't pop up the sun. Yeah. Our next target is Dres. Or some call it Dre. Wouldn't really know. 72 science. Sweet. Anyway, this space telescope is a nice way to gather some more sweet science that we actually need to unlock through a few newer technologies. And apart from Dres, our next target is actually Sarnus. Sarnus is like Kerbal's equivalent of Saturn, and it is the part of the Outer Planets mod, which I already mentioned we will be playing with. So Sarnus is one of the first planets, a big gas giant with its own small system, similar to Joule, except Sarnus looks more like Saturn. It has rings and it has a couple of smaller moons orbiting it. And it's very far out. Here we see Sarnus along with its couple of planets. I'm a little bit still struggling with the Kerbal's controls. Okay. Hi Sarnus. And some sweet science it is. Wonderful. Maybe take a picture, shall we? Or not. And I have added also Sarnus and Eve and Dres towards our Kerbal alarm clock. Because we have observed them, now we know where they are, we know roughly their orbit, so it is time that we plan accordingly for the transfer windows. Now I'm trying to figure out where I want our science to go further from here. We clearly want to pursue into argon rocketry because we want to go further towards more advanced propulsion systems. So I will be unlocking that. Xenon, well, not yet. I don't feel we're there just yet. Besides, it costs 550 science. And since we've already unlocked argon rocketry, we might as well unlock probably the fuel tanks for it. So I'm thinking, as attractive as this xenon rocketry looks, I will probably go and look for actually fuel tanks, so large gas fuel tanks, and here we have argon fuel tanks, and very large ones we don't need as of yet. Now we have no more, we don't have enough science for the xenon rocketry, so let us explore a little bit further out. And there are some nodes that are empty. This is one thing I didn't like too much about Adios Space Tree, because Adios Tech Tree, in my mind, if it doesn't have any parts in, the research should be free. So, yeah. If the maker of the mod is watching, it might be good to code it somehow. Anyway, let us see where we can take it from here. And I'm thinking 470 science. I'm thinking either ladders or wheels. Not just yet. We want to go further towards the probes, towards Eve and Duna, hopefully. So rovers are not our primary concern. Support structures, metamaterials. These ones give a lot in terms of body parts. And some triple stack adapters. So this might be actually handy to use. And advanced decouplers. Yeah, these are necessary, so we will unlock these as well. Experimental decouplers, well, I don't think we need them just yet. So those will let's hold off of those for the time being. Long range communication we will need very much. Capacitors not yet. Soon, but not yet. Servos, no, I don't think so. It's mostly towards Kerbal attachment system, but yeah. And we have 200 more, so what shall we use it for? I'm thinking I would like to advance my plane program a little bit more, and I would like to go with the advanced air intakes, because I need the air intakes, and I'd like to go a little bit further with the jet engines. And then I think either the wheel or the ladders. I'm thinking ladders are probably more useful since we're already unlocking the plane parts. So let's stick to the ladders. Okay, so that pretty much spends all of our tech tree points. And let us proceed further. So now we can upgrade our science points so that we can actually unlock stuff quicker. VAB is already fine, so let us spend a little bit more in terms of bringing our space place hangar more up to the snuff. Yeah, I mean, it's important for the spaceplane hangar because we will be building SSTOs. I can promise you that. I really like building SSTOs. But now, since our next transfer window is Eve, I want to build a probe that would be capable to go to the Eve, take the science from it, and maybe even return with that science. So, the one thing we really need to keep it very, very light. So we have to think of all the parts very sparingly. Yeah, well, sparingly I don't mean a slap on a big parachute. I mean small chute. Yeah, thank you. So, okay, then we need these experiments. We'll just slap as many experiments as many as we can muster. Barometer, RPWS antenna. We already slapped gravioli, thermometer. Basically as many of them as we can cram in. Okay, and obviously we're missing something, and I'm just thinking solar panels, yes, and since this engine is very power hungry, it's after ion engine, we will be slapping 3 Gigantors. And now I'm just trying to find configuration in which they don't hit each other. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result, more or less. Yeah. One more tank, that's 6144 delta V, and I am a little bit concerned in terms of battery, and I was thinking first to introduce more batteries, but actually, you know, come to think of it, batteries increase the weight significantly. So I'm actually thinking, since I'm playing with near future electrical, I'm thinking of maybe going towards a little bit more, let's say, towards capacitors actually. And here I was just evaluating should I opt for argon rocketry instead, but yeah, no, not really. Not for the time being anyway. I'm here just trying to find a solution, because this is 6144 delta V, which is pretty decent, but whatever I put, it kind of reduces its delta V's quite significantly, and it doesn't produce nearly as much power. So we need to be thinking practically. And yes, by all means, we must not forget the actual antennas. And I'm slapping on 3 antennas. And in the previous episode, I know I mentioned that I would be using one antenna pointed to Kerbal, but actually I'm thinking now I will put 3 antennas, one pointing at each of the Kerbal's interplanetary satellite. Why is that? Well, I mean, we could, if we were going to Eve, we could work with a single antenna, and that would be fine. However, I want to aerobrake at Eve, and if I'm aerobraking, that means I have to close off the antenna during the time, or otherwise it will break. So, since I'm playing with a signal delay, I can regulate when it's gonna open, but I cannot order it to reopen before I close the antenna. So that's kind of the reasoning behind the 3 antennas. I basically close off 2, and before I close off 3rd, I will tell it, okay, but first make sure that you reopen yourself at the later stage. And this is briefly testing just to see how well does it behave. And as you can see, the after ion engine quickly depletes our solar panels, or quickly depletes our batteries when there's no solar power provided. So I said, okay, well, let us put in a capacitor bank. And when compared mass-wise, they're extremely light, but they can recharge our battery. So it's sort of like having another battery bank while not having the weight for it. So I think it's actually very convenient to have. So let us give it a try. 2 capacitors, see what they can do. Okay, expanding everything. And now we just make sure that we thrust. And when it gets empty, then I'm gonna hit the capacitors. Okay, and now it's empty. And yeah, and I cannot enable the capacitors because I have no connection, because yeah, I don't have a connection because I don't have electric charge to maintain the connection. Silly me. So I mean, if we came to the sun, it would work again, so it's not a problem. But okay, so now our solar panels are not generating power, but these are kind of expanding. So let's see. When it comes low, I just hit the capacitors, and the capacitors discharge and recharge our batteries completely, which gives us some additional burn time, which is excellent. Yeah. Okay, so I would call that a successful test, and then we can basically start recharging the capacitors. So they discharge very quickly, but they recharge painfully slow. So that means we would need probably 2 of them, or 2 sets. So I decided to put in 1 more set. Then we have basically 2 retries. And I didn't like the fact that my Communotron was clipping here, so I have put it in. Let us construct the lifter now. Okay, the lifter is pretty standard, nothing fancy here. Just slapping some SRBs. It has more than enough delta V. Communotron antenna. Perfect. Okay, so it's being built. Now, let's see. I'm just trying to figure out if we have a window to Sarnas, but maybe at some later stage, because this is too early departure date-wise. I don't care how long time does it take to travel there, but I do want it to be efficient on the Delta V side. So yeah, maybe I'll just add a Kerbal attachment system alarm or Kerbal alarm clock alarm for it. After all, we did discover it, so plot it. One year, 13 days. Well, I think it's too close. Two years, 0 days. Yeah, well, why not? Let's just keep it in. Okay. And since I said that this will be a little bit different change of pace, we will not wait until our probe is being built, but our anomaly scanner that we deployed a few episodes back revealed some anomalies for us, which means we will be sending off a small plane that will be chasing Anomaly, and I've decided to call it Anomaly Hunter. It's a very small plane, very nimble, and it should ultimately basically be able to get the anomaly, collect science from it, gather some additional science data, and come back to the KSC. I'm here trying to determine between basic jet engine and inline turbojet. I'm still struggling to see the difference between the two, but yeah, well, whatever. Putting in some procedural wings. Dragging it out a little bit. I need a cargo bay where I'll store all my beautiful experiments. Then I need a bigger wing. Okay, so a little bit life support. A little bit waste support. I mean, we won't be traveling that far anyway. A little bit lighting. Ejection module, very important in case something goes wrong. Slapping on some batteries. Also some RTGs. Ladder. Okay. Ladder is fine, and this is anomalous signal scanner. That's what we want. And ultimately that was the sensor that I wanted to deploy previously, but I took it by mistake. So also atmospheric sensor package. Checking quickly center of mass, center of lift. Putting some canards in front, some control surfaces at the back. I actually need the procedural ones. These are the other ones just look awful. Yeah, let's put some intakes for our jet engines, because our engines are air breathing, so they need air to be able to breathe. Go figure. Okay. Oops, wrong side. Okay. Control surfaces, let us quickly adjust the thickness. Well, not the tip, the root thickness, yeah. Okay. Cool. Just slightly adjusting center of mass, center of lift. Put some stabilizers, which will actually work as wings. Or tail planes, tail fins. sorry, a couple of air brakes, just assigning them to the action group. And I want to put some drag parachutes, well, just to be able to more quickly stop, because we don't know which terrain we will be landing at, so we might as well need a little bit more oomph in terms of stopping power. So let's bind it to 8, deploy shoot, plane, mini plane, Mark 1. The Anomaly Hunter. Oh, and I really didn't like the way this anomaly scanner was like presenting itself, so I figured, well, what the hell, I'm just gonna put 2 of them and put it like that. Okay, time to put some adjustable landing gear, 1 at the front, 2 at the back, shall we? And I really like the ability to regulate the height of this adjustable landing gear. It's just fantastic. So, which gives me a chance to quickly align them, put them more or less on the same height, a little bit sloped, so the angle of attack is still a little bit upwards, but not as much as I would otherwise have. Flip it, and I think that's pretty much her plane. So let's give it a quick simulation, shall we? Okay, and hit it. And with hit it, I didn't mean the shoots. Okay, that's good. That's why we got the simulation for. Back to the drawing board. Some fixes. Definitely put them in a separate action group, not on the stage. Put them in separate stage, and that's it. Cool. Let us now simulate the vessel again. Okay, hit it. Okay, successful takeoff. Well, looks pretty decent. Wow, it goes very fast, very quickly. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not yaw, not yaw, not yaw. Whoops. And there goes our engine. Fortunately enough, that's why we have the ejection system. And the parachutes? Wow. I didn't expect build to be that bouncy. Okay, fortunately for us, this is a simulation. Okay, cool. And I'm thinking I want to just strut it a little bit, just to make sure that it doesn't really break off its wings, although I think it was the engine that first broke, but yeah, nevertheless. So, typical Kerbal fix, more struts. Let's build it. Okay, and let us now accelerate time until our spaceplane hangar microplane is being built, and during that same time our Eve probe will be being built by the VAB. Okay, fine. So this is the way how you actually we're supposed to play with Kerbal construction time. You give it something to work with, and while this is being built, we're actually doing our missions. So let us put who shall we put here? Let us put Dengard Kerman, and let us put Elbart Kerman for this test launch. So this time we're actually going for the first anomaly, which is the closest one. And that one is on the island. So I think this is a good test for this small plane, and it is also a good test for, to see how it maneuvers, what it does, how it performs. What I did like is that these basic jet engines are pretty powerful. What I didn't like about them is, basically it's not visible in this video, but they have a ceiling. When I was doing some more tests, I tried to go over, let's say, 15,000, and basically they just shut off. So they're good for very short range missions, such as, for example, this runway, but for other two anomalies, one of them being on ice caps, another in deserts, I think we will need something more stronger. But this is not our current concern. Right now we're just testing the plane's glide and all other capabilities. It brakes nicely. I'm only concerned a little bit about its yaw authority, and maybe in the future instances I will add some winglets to it, and fixed winglets which you cannot steer. But yeah, nevertheless, for now we're just aiming for the runway anyway. Oh, take it easy here, Albert. Don't want the plane to be flipping that much. Okay, gear down, brakes up. We're going pretty fast, 293 kilometers per second, which is very fast, almost like Mach speed. So we're just kind of hitting our surface velocity, 100 meters per second, that's more likely. So we're still aligning, and now hitting the brakes and the chutes, hopefully to slow us as fast as possible. And yeah, I would call that a very successful landing. So, time to visit the anomaly. Let me just quickly enable the motor and enable steering on this wheel. Perfect. We can lower the air brakes, and one thing that I need to remember is to ask Albart to repack the chute. So I'm toggling the dish, and as soon as we come to the anomaly source, we will be actually collecting the data. And yeah, so let's see, we have it, I believe, here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and the anomaly here is the old capsule from, I think, KSP version 1 or 0.1 or something. So I'm struggling a little bit with the camera. Let's collect the data. This appears to be underused airfield. It's possibly an emergency landing site from the original KSC. Definitely. Cool. Collect the report. Stop the BTDT scan. And let us close our cargo bay. So we basically have gotten the data that we wanted. I mean, the main benefit of this flight is not data per se, but it's more like the actual test of this plane, whether or not it is stable enough. And here I realized that I have put the ladder backwards, and I'm trying to figure out how did I put the ladder backwards, because I remember testing it. But nevertheless, Albert is going to just quickly repack the chutes. Repack. So the two chutes are repacked, and I really didn't like the speed at which the plane was slowing down. So note to myself, when I'll be reworking the plane, I'll add 2 more chutes. Well, very nice, very Kerbal assembled ladder. Beautiful. Okay. Time to get out of here. Okay. We are just now taxiing to the runway, And I'm kind of thinking, oh yeah, let's take some more space so that we can take off. And then I remember, well, this plane pretty much takes up on a dime, so we don't really need that much runway. So just making sure that I align it nicely. And then guard. Yep, hit the brakes. Good. Disable motor. Disable steering. Throttle to max and release the brakes. Yeah, and we're airborne. Beautiful. This was fast. Okay, and now it's time to go back home. So far it seems like a pretty successful mission and a pretty stable craft to fly. I like how it handles, it works pretty well, I would say. Flying towards the KSC. Hitting the brakes a little bit because we really don't need to be going that fast. By the way, if you see that jerky movements, it's me playing on a keyboard. Okay, lining up with the KSC runway. Just making sure that we are nicely aligned, and yeah, like I said, I really don't appreciate too much this plane's yaw authority, because it's only those two tail planes that are kind of moving, and they're like fully movable, so the plane really can go awry, as we saw in the previous version. Okay, so now I'm putting down the wheels. We're correctly aligned, and I forgot to re-put the chutes on a separate stage, but it doesn't matter. This airstrip is long enough for us to land the regular style, so hitting the brakes hard and hitting the brakes once again, and we have landed. A little bit longer to slow down, but it doesn't really matter. Cool, so time to taxi off to the actual hangar. Okay, enabling the motor, enabling the steering. Okay, and now taxiing to the hangar. So, Albert and Dengard, thank you for today's test. It was clearly a successful one, and you have brought us back some anomalous science. Oh, more science. Atmosphere analysis from the SPH. Oh, the crew report. Nice. So, actually, I forgot that in 090, Spaceplane Hangar has its own biome, which I never actually bothered to collect science from. So, awesome. Okay, hit the brakes. Turn around and stop. Okay, time to collect the EVA reports and the surface samples. With the ladder turned wrongly, of course. Doesn't matter. Anyway, guys, we're coming up to the end of the episode. Like if you like the episode, and subscribe for more Kerbal Space Program content. There will be more episodes coming. Thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.